Hey, what's cracking, everyone? I'm Carl Asami.
I'm Max Cal, and before we get into the TurboGrafx 16, we got some unfinished business here, don't we, Carl?
That's right. Last time we played the Nintendo version of DuckTales.
I played the Nintendo version of DuckTales.
Right. So I'm going to be playing the Game Boy version this week. It's more or less the same game as the Nintendo version. It was developed internally by Capcom and was released about a year later in 1990. The gameplay is exactly the same as the Nintendo version. The sprites and music all come from that version. All the changes you'll see are really due to the fact of the lower resolution that you see on the Game Boy screen. So that means some of the sprites have been reworked and level design is a little bit different. But it's pretty much the same game.
It's familiar enough.
Yeah. So I'll be playing on normal. And unlike Max, I'm going to be playing this out of order. So I'm going to be starting with kind of the more difficult levels first, and I'll work towards the easier sections.
So we're getting something a little different here.
That we are. And we get to hear the famous song, The Moon, on the Game Boy hardware. I am quite the fan of the Game Boy sound chip. There's a reason why chiptune artists always seem to return to the Game Boy as their source of 8-bit sound. It really has great tones on it. I love it.
With that being said, I still think they could have done a better job with this port. I mean, this was early during the Game Boy's lifespan, so this was around the time when companies were still kind of feeling their way around the hardware, and so there's some...
Okay, so some of the sprites didn't translate as well as others.
Zoom in on that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Huey, Dewey, Louie, and Wendy, they look a little derpy in this version. But that's okay.
Not that they look that great in the NES version, but with this resolution, it makes their beaks look so thin.
So she's warning us that we need to get a key in order to pass that little area there. I'll have that solved in quick order. I'm going to head over here to get a safety 1-up if possible. We'll see if I screw this up or not. I almost always take a hit or two here. It's
the spikes are dangerously close and tight.
Oh well. I'll try to snag some health up ahead here. But yeah, as Max was saying, this game is a little less polished than its Nintendo counterpart. The biggest difference I've noticed, at least, is the hitboxes are a little bit wonky. There are times when you land your pogo jump like perfectly on an enemy and you end up taking a hit, or something like that happens where it doesn't look like you hit him,
but he did somehow.
I'm gonna go to this little secret area here and snag the key. Easy peasy.
Yeah, I really like what they did with the sprite designs, despite the lack of colors they had to work with.
I should have gotten. There's a little area with launch pad that I should have stopped by to get a checkpoint, but that's okay.
Yeah,
I'll work my way back up there.
Yeah, fortunately the layouts aren't as extravagant as the NES version, so it's not that hard to get lost.
Yeah, and this is it is a shorter game due to the slight changes they've made.
But that's what the Game Boy was designed for, mostly for whenever people are on a train or flying on an airplane. And
yeah, and to this day, I actually do take our Game Boy over to or take it with me when I go to the hospital or the DMV or something.
Or the dentist.
Yeah, the dentist. Wherever I gotta wait.
Mm-hmm.
I think Launchpad's over here.
Yeah, I actually found myself playing a little bit of DuckTales 2 on the Game Boy. We will do a gameplay playthrough of at some point. Maybe not right away, but would like to check it out.
Maybe wasting my time a little bit here. I've already got the key, but there is a hidden treasure over here I'm gonna snag.
Yeah, I probably should have looked it up to see what this treasure actually is.
It's a square. I don't know what it is. Maybe Senor Ekis can let us know what it is.
Maybe it's a very valuable plate.
Leftover sprite from Mega Man, maybe. Snuck.
Yeah, the first couple of Mega Man games were also a couple of titles in which there's a good game in them, but they're not quite as well put together as their later titles.
I seem to recall one of those Mega Man games that came out on Game Boy had absolutely atrocious sound design.
Oh yeah, the second game they actually did outsource, but then by the time they got to the third Game Boy game, they started using the team that did Bionic Commando.
Bless me bagpipes.
Yeah. And they did an excellent job with those later titles.
So I'm going to be taking a little shortcut here to skip over to Gizmo Duck. Let's see.
Of course, the later two titles are expensive, so your best bet in getting those titles are collections. Apparently in Japan they refer to them as Robo-Duck.
Robo-Duck. Very creative. Maybe Gizmo just doesn't sound good in Japanese culture.
Yeah, or maybe they don't have a word for Gizmo.
Yeah. Or any equivalent word just doesn't sound like a good name. Who knows?
Yeah, sometimes certain words don't translate well into other languages, so they have to use a different word.
So why are the Beagle Boys on the moon? I always thought it was kind of strange that they show up here.
Yeah, they never really explained it in the early well, actually in the remaster version, they actually give them a reason to be there, in which they actually have Glomgold ambush you near the end of the level, and they just sends in a gang of the Beagle Boys to rush in to try to get the treasure, which they don't. Because...
So it just occurred to me, we're taking this piece of cheese from this rat. Are we stealing these treasures from all these bosses? Don't they rightfully own these treasures and we're just beating them up so that we can have them?
Well, maybe he has other cheese on the moon that we don't know about.
That doesn't give us the right to beat him up with a cane and take his stuff. See, right there. Took a hit from that rabbit when I probably should have hit him. These goats...
Oh, it's even worse with the goats, I bet.
Yeah, the hitboxes for the goats are a little wonky.
Yeah, these levels I actually saved for later.
This level is kind of difficult, or kind of challenging to route the first time that you play this. But I've kind of optimized and found a pretty good path to get us where we want to go. Let's see. I'm gonna go down first because there's a little area where I can earn some extra hit points. Past these icicles.
Yeah, I'm not familiar at all with the Game Boy layout, so
this
is the first time for me seeing some of this.
Yeah, some of the levels are pretty similar, and some of them do deviate quite a bit. I'm actually more familiar with this version than I am with the Nintendo version, which is why Max played that version. So there's one of the nephews. Looks ridiculous.
Yeah, obviously they're all gonna have the same colored shirt due to the limited colors. Now his sacrifice.
Alright.
That never gets old.
Now I've got four hit points rather than 3. Although I will say in this game it's not usually when you're dying it's because you're falling down a pit. It's not because you're taking too many hits. And unfortunately, sometimes you're falling off a cliff because the hit detection fails on you, and you end up falling down a cliff after taking a hit from an enemy you shouldn't have hit. But what are you gonna do? The game's very playable still.
Yeah. At least they didn't contract that one company to handle the port.
Oh, the one that did the Mega Man game?
Yeah, Mega Man 2.
Yeah. Thank goodness for little things like that. I'm gonna get a hidden cupcake here. And just like that, we're pretty much already at the boss fight. I just gotta...
I recognize this.
Yeah. And again, this game really isn't known for its difficult boss fights. Kind of like what Woodman from Mega Man, things drop from above, but he doesn't have a snow shield, so...
Wow, that was even more pathetic than what I had to go through.
Yeah. Like I say, it's a shorter game. Money. Alright, so now I'm going to be playing my least favorite level, the African Mines. But just like the Nintendo version, in order to play this level, you gotta take a pit stop in Transylvania. And just like the Nintendo version,
you have to go here 3 times.
Oh, got the key.
Eureka.
Alright. The reason why I hate this level is there are a couple sections where you're clearing pits that can get because of the wonkiness of the game, it sometimes you end up dying when you really shouldn't.
Yeah, just wait until... Hey, I actually saw Carl practicing this particular level.
This is the level I practice the most, because if I screw up anywhere, it's this level, so... Hopefully you're gonna see me just fly through without issue. I'm gonna snag one more
hidden treasure of the game.
Just to say I did. Alright, this is the Leap of Faith section that was also featured in the Nintendo version. As a kid, I probably would not have figured this out very quickly. Ooh, that was my fault. I should have jumped a little bit further. And that's the aforementioned section that I occasionally just screw up. So I'll be a little more careful next time, and I think we'll be okay. Accidentally destroyed that stone that I need to kill the bat with. Hold on. Gonna respawn it by moving over here. Alright.
Yeah, I don't know if we talked about this in the last video, but Disney's Aladdin and The Lion King are getting a re-release as a double compilation package. Remember at one point those games got delisted on the store and there was a lot of speculation as to what was going on other than license expiring, but apparently that was the reason.
Okay, I can talk again. I had to shut up so I could focus. The rest of the level should be pretty darn easy.
So, between Disney's Aladdin and The Lion King, which game do you prefer?
You know, it's hard to say because I haven't actually beaten The Lion King. I've gotten very far. I have beaten Aladdin, and I absolutely adore that game. I think it's an excellent action platformer. I think everyone should play it if you own a Sega Genesis or a Super Nintendo.
I wish they would do a remaster of that game, actually. The hand-drawn animations would look so beautiful.
Yeah, it was one of the first games where the hand-drawn animations, they were able to translate them to sprites just really, really well. Absolutely beautiful games in motion.
And they only had months to put it together.
Yeah, there's a lot of debate over which version is the best for Aladdin, Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis. I love both those games for different reasons. This is another really easy boss fight where we beat up this poor sap and steal his stuff.
They actually give you a little bit more space in this one.
Because of his he blinks after you hit him. It's actually quite difficult to get hit by him. You have to really go out of your way to fail this boss battle. Okay, so it should be smooth sailing from here. Now watch me totally screw up this run and get a game over.
I think the only point that I'm worried about is the last boss. Well, we'll get to it. Because I do have a personal gripe with the... Well, just a small gripe with the boss in this game.
Yeah, well, we'll see when we get there.
Yeah. And it's not just because of the wonky hit detections.
Well, that's part of it. Part of it is his sprite is just so gosh darn big that it's a very tight window to do what needs to be done. I'm gonna just go back here real quick and get another one up for safety. Alright. I'm sure I won't need it, but, you know, let's be safe here. Ooh. I'll admit, the first time I played this game, I died in the first level. I couldn't beat it. Takes time to get used to some of the jumping mechanics in this version.
And the bees.
And the bees, yes. Oh.
Here's the Game Boy working its absolute hardest.
Yeah. The slowdown threw me off there for a second. You don't have to be quite as careful as you do in the Nintendo version where the bee spawns.
Yeah. In this, you just gotta worry about the chalkiness of the game.
Ooh.
There we go.
And even though we just saw Launchpad in that helicopter, he's standing right here. So that means he crashed it and still had enough time to get his ass up here.
Like, hey, he works hard.
He does work hard, you know. He may be an idiot, but he's no slouch. Alright. So you could go over to the right and pay a fee to take a path over to the boss, or you can just go over here and bypass that whole section. There's really no advantage to taking the other route as far as I can see. Picking up jewels, even though I don't think it's really gonna change the ending that much. This boss is surprisingly like one of the harder boss fights in the game, and he's not even really that hard. As long as you keep bouncing, you generally are gonna be okay. So yeah, that was that.
So it's just 2 more visits to Transylvania.
Yep, absolutely captivating commentary and gameplay on our part, I'm sure.
Yeah, but you know, Carl felt like he...
Well, I mean, we own the game, so we might as well play every version we've got. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, which probably means we might have to get that one Disney collection just so we can get a copy of DuckTales 2.
Yeah, probably.
We have the Game Boy version, since that one actually sold well.
Yeah, it's the Nintendo version that's rarer and more expensive. So I'm just gonna go through the secret wall here and get another health upgrade.
And you're at full capacity.
Alright, now I'm gonna just make a beeline for the final boss. This is where you would learn about the fact there's a secret wall somewhere up here, but I already know about it, so I didn't have to do that. It's interesting. Sometimes I can just walk through there, and sometimes I can't. I haven't really figured out a pattern as to why it seems to work sometimes.
Decides when it feels like it.
Yeah. Oh, what the? That's never happened before.
That's interesting.
That was I've never seen that happen before. What are you gonna do? Okay,
let's try this
get
again.
back on track here.
At least we got full health.
Not that
A lot more than I can say about these guys here.
I could have taken that rope and it takes you up here, but I decided to go this way so I'd get another jewel. And I can just drop down on top of that guy. The first time I played this level, I just on accident made the direct path to the boss, so I had to play it again so I could figure out where all the other rooms took you and all the other mirrors.
All the goodies.
I'll admit it took me a little bit to find the item upgrade or the health upgrade in this level. I think it was on maybe my third playthrough.
One has a lot of secret pits.
Yeah. The ghosts, this is the only section where they appear and all you have to do is duck to avoid them.
Wow.
They didn't even give them an animation. Like me being silly. I guess she's arguably the harder boss fight in this game, but this isn't the most challenging game. This isn't Mega Man levels of difficulty here. This is clearly made with a younger audience in mind.
Speaking of Mega Man, they apparently are toying around with the idea of another sequel. I don't know if it's gonna be a Mega Man 12, but
you know, I wouldn't mind if they went 16-bit or hand-drawn graphics for this next one. I think we've done enough 8-bit iterations. I'm ready for something a little different.
Yeah, there is Mega Man 11.
So just like the Nintendo version, we gotta come back to the beginning of Transylvania, and go directly to the same room I was just in. So this is gonna be real boring. But yeah, I'm with you. We should get the collection on Steam and play some of the other games they have to offer. I've never played the Nintendo version of DuckTales 2. I'd love to see the level layout in that game. Have you ever played it?
Nope. Not legit, at least.
Max, I can't believe you would emulate games that you don't actually own.
Then what are we doing? Well, yeah, that is true.
We own this game. We own a
this
copy.
one we own.
This is just the easiest way to capture footage. I'm not gonna hack a Game Boy just so we can capture some footage. Okay.
Yeah, the problem I have with this version of Dracula Duck is the amount of time they give you to actually hit him. Which isn't much compared to the NES version.
And the hitbox, as you can see, is a little... It's not what you would expect. Wow, yeah, I may fail this first attempt here. I usually do a little bit better than this. And for some reason the bat didn't start flying over right away. No, I got him. Shoot. Of course, in all my test plays, I was able to beat him very easily, but what are you gonna do? Performance anxiety, I guess. Sorry, Senor Ekis. It's his day off, but I told him this wouldn't take long. Yeah, whatever. Alright. Okay. I'm gonna focus. I'm gonna shut up and focus. There we go. I've got the rhythm now.
Also helpful that he's just appearing in that same spot. He was generous to you.
Yes.
And once again, gotta beat Glomgold and what's her face?
Magica Dispel.
Magica Dispel. I think you even have a little more time in this version than you do in the Nintendo
Yeah,
version.
they're even slower here since their sprite's big on this small screen.
Woohoo! This next part I like. We don't get portrait shots of the nephews. We get the derpy sprites instead. The text is exactly the same though.
Yes.
But they did manage to fit Scrooge McDuck sprite in here, so.
You steal the richest duck in the world, and it's still the end.
Alright. So yeah, that was a quick little playthrough I wanted to squeeze in before we moved on to bigger and better things.
Yeah, aside from the revisits of Transylvania and the wonky hitboxes in this version, it's a good hour to kill in your time.
It was a solid effort from Capcom, considering how many
there's a good game in there.
bad
Just
Game Boy games
put
there are out
together
there.
with super glue and duct tape.
Yeah. DuckTales is held together by duct tape. So says Max 2019. So the next DuckTales game we're going to play is likely going to be the remastered. We'll see. We might squeeze in, like Max said, maybe a TurboGrafx game or two, but it's still kind of up in the air.
Maybe we'll do both at the same time.
Yeah.
Always remember there are more important things in this world, and that is dreaming friends.
You're never going to let that one die, are you?
No.
Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed the video. Twin Opinion cares about your opinion, and your participation keeps us alive. So share your comments, hit that like button, and subscribe to the channel. You can also find Twin Opinion on Facebook or visit our website at asamiarrow.com.